Most people assume that being inside their homes means they're protected from the outside world. Clean walls, closed windows, and familiar surroundings create the impression that indoor air is naturally cleaner than outdoor air. But that assumption is not always true, because according to environmental health research, indoor air can often be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, even in urban environments. And the surprising part is that most of this pollution is not visible, not noticeable, and not something you can easily smell. What most people don't realize is that your home is constantly producing and trapping airborne particles. Cooking fumes, cleaning chemicals, dust mites, pet dander, mold spores, volatile organic compounds from furniture and paint, all of it circulates in a closed system where ventilation is often limited. And over time, this invisible mixture becomes something your body is constantly interacting with. Headaches that seem random, fatigue that doesn't fully go away, sinus irritation that comes and goes, poor sleep that has no obvious explanation. Many of these issues are often linked to something people rarely consider first: air quality. But here's the deeper question. If the air inside your home is affecting you more than the air outside, why don't we talk about it more? So in this video, we are going beyond surface level explanations. We are breaking down what is actually in your indoor air, how it affects your body at a biological level, why modern homes trap pollutants more than ever before, and why air purification is becoming less of a luxury and more of a necessity. Because once you understand what is floating in the air you breathe every day, you may never think about your home the same way again. Number 1, your home is not a closed, clean system. Most people think of their home as a sealed environment, a controlled space separate from pollution, traffic, and outdoor contaminants. But here's where it gets interesting. Your home is actually a constantly exchanging system, not a sealed one. Every time you open a door, every time air leaks through windows, vents, or small structural gaps, outdoor particles enter your living space. But more importantly, your home also generates its own pollutants internally. What most people don't realize is that indoor air pollution is often more complex than outdoor pollution because it comes from multiple internal sources happening at the same time. Cooking releases ultrafine particles, cleaning sprays release volatile organic compounds, carpets trap dust and release it back into circulation when walked on. Even simple daily activities continuously add particles into the air. Unlike outdoor environments where wind disperses pollutants, indoor air tends to recirculate within a confined space. So instead of being clean, your home is actually a controlled accumulation environment where particles build up over time unless actively removed. Number 2, the invisible pollutants you are breathing right now. Air pollution inside homes is not always obvious. In fact, most of it is completely invisible. Many of the most common indoor pollutants are microscopic and odorless. Particulate matter, especially PM 2.5 particles, can be so small that they bypass the body's natural filtration system in the nose and throat, entering deep into the lungs. These particles come from cooking smoke, candles, fireplaces, and even outdoor air infiltration. What most people don't realize is that volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are also constantly present in indoor environments. These are emitted from furniture, paints, adhesives, air fresheners, and cleaning products. At a chemical level, VOCs can react with other compounds in the air to form secondary pollutants, which adds another layer of complexity. The result is that indoor air is not just dirty, it is chemically dynamic. And over time, exposure to these low-level pollutants can contribute to irritation of the respiratory system, reduced sleep quality, and general discomfort that people often misattribute to stress or fatigue. Number 3, how indoor air affects the body without you noticing. The human body is designed to process air continuously. You breathe approximately 20,000 times per day, meaning whatever is in your environment is constantly interacting with your biological systems. Your respiratory system is not just a passive filter, it is an active immune interface. When airborne particles enter the respiratory tract, the immune system responds. For clean air, this process is minimal, but with consistent exposure to irritants, the immune system can remain in a low-level state of activation. What most people don't realize is that this constant low-grade immune response can contribute to symptoms like sinus congestion, throat irritation, and even fatigue. The mechanism is not immediate toxicity. It is cumulative stress on the body's filtration and defense systems. And because symptoms often develop gradually, people rarely connect them to indoor air quality. Instead, they assume the cause is lifestyle, sleep, or seasonal changes. Number 4, why modern homes trap more pollution than older homes. Modern construction has dramatically changed how air moves through buildings. Energy-efficient homes are designed to be tightly sealed to reduce heating and cooling costs. While this improves efficiency, it also reduces natural ventilation. In older homes, air leakage helps cycle indoor air naturally. In modern homes, that passive ventilation is largely eliminated, which means the air inside can become stagnant without proper systems in place. What most people don't realize is that reduced ventilation allows pollutants like dust, volatile organic compounds, VOCs, moisture, and other airborne particles to remain trapped indoors for long periods. Over time, these contaminants can build up, especially in spaces where airflow is limited or inconsistent. Everyday activities like cooking, cleaning, or even using certain household products can add to this accumulation. Another layer to this is that modern lifestyles often keep people indoors more frequently, increasing overall exposure to whatever is circulating inside the home. Without intentional ventilation, such as opening windows, using exhaust fans, or installing mechanical systems like HVAC filtration or air exchangers, the air quality can gradually decline. This is why indoor air quality management has become more important in modern environments compared to previous generations. It's no longer just about keeping air in, it's about actively managing what stays in and what gets filtered out. Number 5, the role of cooking in everyday activities. Cooking is one of the largest sources of indoor air pollution. Even healthy cooking methods can produce airborne particles. Frying, searing, and grilling release fine particulate matter and gases that remain suspended in the air. Gas stoves can also release nitrogen dioxide, a respiratory irritant. What most people don't realize is that even simple boiling or baking contributes small amounts of airborne compounds depending on temperature and ingredients. These particles accumulate in enclosed kitchens and spread throughout the home without proper ventilation. Number 6, dust is not just dirt. Dust is often dismissed as harmless, but it is actually a complex mixture of materials. Household dust contains skin cells, fibers, pollen, microbial particles, and chemical residues. Dust is constantly being steered into the air through movement, airflow, and cleaning activities. What most people don't realize is that dust particles can also act as carriers for other pollutants, meaning they are not just passive debris, they are transport systems for airborne exposure. Because of their small size, many dust particles can remain suspended in the air for extended periods, increasing the likelihood of inhalation throughout the day. They can also settle deep into soft surfaces like carpets, bedding, and upholstery, where they accumulate and are easily released into the air with even minor disturbances. Over time, this creates a continuous cycle of exposure, making dust a far more active and persistent factor in indoor air quality than most people assume. Number 7, mold and moisture, the hidden air problem. Mold is one of the most underestimated threats to indoor air quality, largely because it often goes unnoticed until it becomes a visible problem. But by the time you can actually see mold growing on walls, ceilings, or around vents, it has usually been affecting the air for quite some time. Mold doesn't need to be visible to impact your environment. Microscopic spores are constantly released into the air and can circulate throughout a space long before any surface growth appears. These spores are lightweight and easily carried through air currents, especially in enclosed spaces with poor ventilation. Once airborne, they can be inhaled, potentially triggering respiratory sensitivity, irritation, or allergic type reactions in certain individuals. People living in humid or damp environments are particularly at risk, as moisture creates the perfect conditions for mold to grow and spread undetected. What makes this issue more complex is that mold is not just a surface problem, it's an air quality problem. Even small hidden sources of moisture, like a slow leak behind a wall, condensation around windows, or excess humidity from daily activities, can create an environment where mold thrives. Over time, this can quietly destabilize indoor air quality without any obvious warning signs. Another key factor is that moisture doesn't just support mold, it amplifies the entire indoor air ecosystem. High humidity can encourage the growth of other microorganisms and increase the persistence of airborne particles. This is why moisture control is one of the most important yet overlooked components of maintaining stable and healthy air quality. Ultimately, managing humidity levels, ensuring proper ventilation, and addressing even minor water issues early can make a significant difference. The reality is that controlling moisture isn't just about preventing visible damage, it's about protecting the air you breathe every day. Number 8, why symptoms are often misdiagnosed. Many symptoms linked to poor indoor air quality are frustratingly nonspecific, which is exactly why they're so often overlooked or misdiagnosed. Headaches, fatigue, brain fog, sinus congestion, dry eyes, and even mild dizziness are commonly attributed to things like stress, lack of sleep, dehydration, or seasonal allergies. In reality, these symptoms can quietly stem from the air you're breathing every single day. Part of the problem is timing. Unlike acute illnesses that hit suddenly, poor indoor air exposure tends to build gradually. You don't wake up one day feeling drastically different. It's a slow decline in how you feel. Because of this, people rarely connect their environment to their symptoms. Instead, they normalize feeling slightly off or assume it's just part of their routine or lifestyle. Another layer is that chronic low-level exposure can closely mimic broader health issues. For example, prolonged exposure to indoor pollutants can resemble symptoms of allergies, burnout, or even early signs of respiratory conditions like asthma. This overlap makes it difficult for both individuals and even healthcare providers to immediately pinpoint indoor air as the root cause, especially if no one is actively considering environmental factors. What makes this even more challenging is that most people don't think to evaluate their surroundings unless there's an obvious issue like visible mold or a strong odor. But many indoor air pollutants are invisible and odorless, meaning the exposure goes unnoticed while symptoms persist. Without awareness of environmental triggers, people often treat the symptoms instead of addressing the source. This is why understanding the role of your environment is critical. Sometimes the issue isn't just what's happening inside your body, it's what your body is constantly being exposed to. Number 9, how air purifiers actually work. Air purifiers are not magic devices, they are filtration systems. Most effective air purifiers use HEPA filters designed to capture particles as small as 0.3 microns. What most people don't realize is that HEPA filtration works by physically trapping particles, not chemically neutralizing them. Activated carbon filters also help reduce odors and VOCs by absorption, which binds gases to the filter surface. Together, these systems reduce airborne load significantly in enclosed environments. Number 10, why air quality awareness is increasing. Awareness of indoor air quality has increased significantly in recent years due to better monitoring and research. People are beginning to realize that environmental health is not just outdoor based. What most people don't realize is that indoor environments now account for the majority of human exposure time, making them a critical factor in overall well-being. Air purification is not about fear. It's about reducing unnecessary exposure in environments where you spend most of your life. The air inside your home is not as simple as most people assume. It is a constantly changing mixture of particles, gases, and microscopic compounds influenced by daily life, materials, habits, and ventilation. And while none of these factors are immediately visible, they all contribute to the environment you breathe every day. The important shift is not fear. It is awareness, because once you understand that indoor air is not automatically clean, the idea of actively managing it starts to make sense. And that is where air purification becomes relevant, not as an extreme solution, but as a practical response to modern living conditions. It is about understanding that the air you breathe at home is not passive. It is part of your environment, and your environment is always shaping you, whether you notice it or not.